Hello, I am Torun Birkbak. I am a psychotherapist in Denmark. I want to talk about secure attachment and when a child, for example, have experienced trauma and is influenced by it, how we can heal that trauma. First of all, I'll tell you a little about secure attachment. What is that? It is an attachment which is healthy. And we know now that 1/3 of every babies, they have parents who are not able to attach their child securely, and that's pretty many. So we have a little job here to be better at that. Secure attachment is that the baby feels completely secure. That is the opposite of insecure. And when the baby feels met, when whatever feeling she has or expresses, the adult must be able to meet him and to attune the feeling. For example, the baby will, be very upset, crying very much. And the parent, for example, the mother, will of course try to calm it and say, no, oh, I hold on your head and I'm giving you the pacifier, and doing a lot of things, looking in the nappy, see if there's anything which is disturbing there. And when she finds out that there is no reason to be anxious. Anyhow, when the child is crying and asking for secure attachment and secure arms by her mother, and the mother is trying to calm her just by saying shh and do things like we all have learned, then the baby might feel rejected. And I have seen that sometimes when time is going by, the mother is getting frustrated, and first she is saying no, she can't do anything more, she finds, and then the baby will get even more frustrated and cry even more. And I saw one day a mother who got in touch with her own expression, no. And I think then she thought, oh, what did I do? I was rejecting my own little child who was just a few days old. And then she got in touch with her empathy and said, oh, I do understand how it has been a hard time for you. And as soon as she did that, the child got silent. In my eyes, it shows that if you show empathy to your child, you are coming in touch with the feeling which is in the child, and you are calming with your steadiness and your empathy. Empathy, that is the heartfelt feeling for another person, but without being too much hard feeling. So in this occasion, the child was very calmed And of course, she feels secure in the presence of her mother. More likely also in the future.
What is the difference between inner and outer secure attachment?
Well, everybody needs to be met with outer care. For example, good food and nice clothes and everything which is outer. And when you need to be quite sure attached, it must be inner attachment. And that is the way I have just explained. The mother is attuning to the child's feeling and is standing there steadily and having the warm heart open and expressing, oh, let me hold you and you can lean into my nervous system. That is called limbic resonance. Limbic resonance means that two nerve systems are connecting and make effort to the weak. For example, the mother, when she is quite calm and steady. Also, when you feel anxiousness, for example, it could be that the little child felt. Then the child feels, oh, my mother is meeting me in my nervous system and calming me, so I can just rest and be calm. That is attunement, and that is very important that you can do that with your child and the child's nervous system.
What is the difference between empathy, sympathy, and apathy?
Empathy is the heartfelt feeling for the person from the very core. And when I say that is because if you are too sympathetic, you can easily be, oh, you little pure thing, I'll come and calm you. And it doesn't feel equal, as an equal relationship. And if you want to support your child to be secure attached, you must be concerning the feelings and the senses. You must be equal, because the child is more than good at showing his feelings or his senses. And the adult must be aware of when the child is crying, he is either, I must look, does he look sad? Does he look angry? And if I can attune the feeling that the child has, I can calm the child. It's very necessary that I attune the feeling. And don't, as an adult, don't worry if you are attuning a feeling that the child doesn't have. For example, maybe you are angry, because if it is not that feeling that you are showing and setting word on as the adult, the child will not get this limbic resonance with your feeling. So what you say and express, it just goes in one ear and out of the other. So only if you find the right feeling in your child's mind, the child will find, oh yes, I'm so angry. And you are calming me by standing by my side, going in limbic resonance with me and helping me to calm down my angerness, my anger.
Emotion.
Yes. So that's...
Can this be applied during the gestational period?
I think so, because as I have already told you about limbic resonance, we take part in each other's nerve system, and we may say that mother and child during the pregnancy is very close connected. So of course, what happens to the mother, it is felt by the child. And I think most mothers can say yes to, I have tried to calm my little child in there when he is kicking too much. So I'm sure there is limbic resonance, and I think it is a very good idea to be aware of that connection, because then you can use it in a very good way and come in more contact, and as the child in the womb feels met, she will also feel secure.
We talk about the negative impact of stress in our lives. How does that affect the baby when the mother is very stressed?
Yes. If you are stressed, it is a normal situation and not very long lasting stress. It is only ripening you, and the child is experiencing how it is to be stressed, and that the mother is going resting and taking it easy life. Then the child will experience that's how life is. But if it is lasting very long, there will come many different hormones, and hormones who will pass the barrier to the brain. And when these hormones go into the brain for a longer time, it might easily damage the mother's brain. I think many of us have experienced, I'm not able to remember that good as I used to be. And then we know intuitively, I think I'm stressed. And of course, it is very important for the mother to then stop her stress. And we also don't know if it is influencing negatively on the child. But whatever your remembrance brain is being harmed, and that's of course a very bad thing.
Can breastfeeding heal some of that stress?
If the mother is good at liking breastfeeding, it will heal, because it is the situation and the mental situation in the breastfeeding situation which is important. And I say this because some women have difficulties to give breast because they feel it is all too close to their own body, and that must be respected. Of course, you can try and work with it already during the pregnancy, but somebody are not at the moment capable at giving breastfeeding and soothing the child in that way. And then it's a good thing that we have baby milk on bottles.
Breastfeeding, though it is passing on to the baby, her intention of wanting to completely be there for her child, giving her child the best she can.
Yes.
So even if the situation isn't ideal because she may have a lot of stress in her life at that time, the breastfeeding can help to make the effects less.
I think so. But of course it is a kind of balancing. How does the mother feel about breastfeeding? Because if she is getting more stressed and are not able to break that circle, she has better not breastfeeding, I think. The child will enjoy to come in another person's arms and get the bottle and the milk and will be calmed.
And how can we increase our capacity to be empathetic? Does it start with being empathetic with ourselves?
Well, yes, it is a great question. And we all are able to get in contact with empathy, I'll say. But of course, when you have many bad experiences, when you, for example, as a young child is crying or shouting for help, and the caregiver is just telling, I don't want to hear you anymore. Just shut up, you, because you have got food and you've got warm clothes and everything is quite okay now. When you as a child speak from your very core and tell that you need something, and then you are rejected from that need, just shut up. Then you will of course close, because you express yourself as a child, you express yourself from the very core, and the empathetic capability is situated in the very core when it is expressing himself. So that is why it is so important that we are not scolding the children. Scolding, yes. And therefore it is also here very important for me to tell, if a child is expressing whatever feeling and senses, you must go with the feeling. When the child is, for example, crying because he is not allowed to have sweets now when we are in the shop, and when his mother says, no, I have already told you that is not the subject today, and the child will likely fall onto the ground and shout and say, no. And the reason why he does that is not that he is not getting the sweet, but it is that he is not met. When he feels, oh, I want this sweet, and is expressing his feelings, he is speaking from his very core, and his mother doesn't listen that it is his feeling now. So instead, and if you try next time it occurs, if you can stand steadily on your feet, remembering how it is to be very, very good grounded, and thinking that my child is very upset now, and then if you go and say, oh, you are so angry because I told you not to show your feelings and senses once. Just wait and see what happens, because if you meet the child with a calm and empathetic tune, he will be so calmed and he will stop crying, and and you can easily tell him, come, I'll give you my hand, and we go off. That is the best thing to be met with understanding and with empathy from the mother. So I hope you can let that middle love feeling show also when the situation is very difficult. So do remember, go always with the feeling in the child. Never reject the child when he or she is upset.
And at any time in a person's life, it can help something that happened that the person is not even aware of. In pregnancy, maybe it was difficulty for the parents to accept the pregnancy, or in the birth there was something that was traumatic. How can that be healed so it doesn't interfere with that person's development in their life?
Well, if that person who has had a trauma and are influenced by it, if he or she meets a psychotherapist or a quite normal person who is aware of being empathetic and meet, I hear that you tell that you have had, you are angry or whatever feeling and senses. If I can meet that person in that way, it will simply end up being a difficult feeling. It will disappear. I don't know the word.
When you validate it and then the person feels, that what you're saying feels right to me. I think
yes,
that is.
It's going in limbic resonance. Also, it can connect with very old feelings. And I have a case, I can tell you.
Yes, please.
It was a twin couple. They were sitting on the ground in the living room, and grandma was there, and the first born child, the little girl, she very often started with a tune like this. And shortly after, the brother did the same. And as the grandma was a psychiatrist, she knows about children and how they feel. And so she thought, well, I must find out, what is that little girl trying to tell? And what is she most of all trying to heal? And the grandma thought, well, of course it is the birth, because it was a very difficult birth for the firstborn. Her shoulder had problems to get free of the pubic bone, so it was harmed. And the first time of her life, she had pain and she had difficulties to lie on this side. And as the grandma remembered, and then she contacted the little girl and got in this limbic resonance with her. Yes, we know that you had a very, very difficult birth, a very difficult pressing period, and luckily now you have no pain. You're sitting here, everything is fine, so we are all so relieved. After that day, the girl never said that sound, and the brother didn't attune to it, because he was not born into this situation. And that is, of course, pretty important, because I'm quite sure that if it had continued, the small children had the scolding attitude from the adult. Now you must shut up, because it is too much. I don't know what you're telling me. And then they would be insecure and not secure attached. So that's why it is so important that we are being better at going with the feelings and to express them and to heal them in the way of going into limbic resonance and calming it down with the presence in the very core and with the grounding. Then the child will be secure. Yes.
Can we finish, Torun, with just what advice would you give a couple expecting their first child?
Well, you could listen to this video again and again, and remember to get in contact with your own very core. And the last years it has been more and more common to make mindfulness meditation. So if you can get in touch with proper mindfulness meditation, you can be more able to be stabilized yourself and to get in contact with your middle feelings, empathy, not antipathy and sympathy, because sympathy might feel good, but it can be overwhelming if we are too, oh, my cute little thing, and the children doesn't really like it. If you are looking at children which are met like this, they don't like it. They like the real thing, that is empathy, warmth from the heart. So you are securely attached. So I'll say thank you for today. I hope you have a nice life with your children or grandchildren or whatever child you meet. Goodbye.